Yo, what's up, animals? Sungila Z, musical gangster here. And I'm about to read some more of The Trumpet of the Swan by E.B. White. And I know Edward Scissorhands' ballet is playing in the background. But some way, Lewis feels like an outcast, like Edward Scissorhands. He has a disability, like everyone, that he must learn to overcome. And this book is perfect for anyone who has a disability that they must overcome. Yeah. Whether they're introverts, extroverts, or whatever. Everyone must find their voice. Yeah. Chapter 13, End of Summer. A trumpet has three little valves, as you can see. They are for the fingers of the player. And they look like this. By pushing them down in the right order, the player can produce all the notes of the musical scale. Lewis had often examined these little valves on his horns, but is never able to use them. He had 3 front toes on each foot, but being a water bird, he had webbed feet. The webbing prevented him from using his 3 toes independently. Luckily, the valves on a trumpet are not needed for bugle calls, because bugle calls are the combinations of do, mi, sol. And a trumpeter can play do, mi, sol without pressing down on any of the valves. If I could just work those 3 valves with my 3 toes, he said to himself, I could play all sorts of music, not just bugle calls. I could play jazz, I could play country and western, I could play rock, I could play I could play whatever I want, whether it's Beethoven, Mozart, any artist I want. I can do all sorts of music. Not just, I could really be a trumpet player. Not just a camp bugler, I might even get a job with an orchestra. Thought filled him with ambition. Lewis loved music. Besides, he was already casting about for ways to make money after camp was over. Although he enjoyed life at Camp Kookooskoos, Lewis often thought of his home on Upper Red Rock Lake, Montana. Thought about his parents, his brothers and sisters, and about Serena. He was terribly in love with Serena. He often wondered what was happening to her. At night he would look up at the stars and think about her. In the late evening, when the big bullfrogs were crying, "Kronk!" across the still lake, he would think of Serena. Sometimes he felt sad, lonely, and homesick. His music, however, was a comfort to him. He loved the sound of his own trumpet. Summer passed all too quickly. On the last day of camp, Mr. Brinkle called his counselors together and paid them what he owed them. Lewis received $100, the first money he had ever earned. He had no wallet, no pockets, so Mr. Brinkle placed his money in a waterproof bag that he had a drawstring. He hung the bag around Lewis's neck, along with the trumpet, the slate, chalk pencil, and the life-saving medal. Lewis went to Sam Beaver's tent and found Sam packing his things. Lewis took off his slate and pencil. I need another job, he wrote. Where should I go? Sam sat down on his bed and thought for a while. Then he said, go to Boston. Maybe you can get a job with the Swan boat. Lewis had never been to Boston. He had no idea what the swan boat was, but he nodded his head. Then he wrote on his slate, "Do me a favor." "Sure," said Sam. "Take a razor blade and slip the web on my right foot so I can wiggle my toes." He held out his foot. "Why do you want to wiggle your toes?" asked Sam. "You'll see," wrote Lewis. I need my toes in my business." Sam hesitated. Then he borrowed a razor blade from one of the older counselors. He made a long, neat cut between Lewis's inner toe and middle toe. Then he made another cut between Lewis's middle toe and outer toe. As you can see, cutting him. He needs it to play music. "Does it hurt?" Lewis shook his head, lifted his trumpet, pressed his toes on the valve, and played do re mi fa sol la ti do, do re mi fa sol la ti do, do re mi fa sol la ti do, do re mi fa sol la ti do. Sam grinned. "Well, but we'll hire you, all right," he said. "You're a real trumpeter now. With your web cut, swimming will be hard for you. You will have a tendency to swim in circles because your left foot will push better than your right foot." "I can manage," said Lewis. "Thanks very much for the surgery." Next day, the campers left. Canoes had been hoisted onto racks in the boathouse. The float had been hauled onto the beach. The windows of the lodge had been boarded up against bears and squirrels. Mattresses had been packed into zipper bags. Everything was snug and ready for the long, silent winter. Of all the campers, only Lewis stayed behind. His flight feathers were growing fast, but he still couldn't fly. He made up his mind he would remain at camp, all alone, until he was able to take to the air again, and then he would fly straight to Boston. Lake was lonely without the boys. Lewis didn't mind being alone. For the next 3 weeks, he took life easy. Grew his flight feathers, dreamed of Serena by day and by night, practiced his trumpet. He had learned to music all summer. Some of the boys had radios and record players. Now he had practiced the songs on his trumpet. Every day he got better and better. One day he composed a love song for Serena and wrote the words and music on his slate. "Oh, ever in the greening spring, by bank and bough retiring, for love shall I be sorrowing, and swans of my desiring." He was really thinking of Serena. We left her name out of it and kept it impersonal. His plumage was beautiful now. He felt great. On the 21st of September, he tried his wings. To his great relief, they lifted him. Lewis rose into the air. The trumpet banged against the slate. The slate knocked against his money bag. The life-saving medal clanked against the chalk pencil. Lewis was airborne again. Climbed and headed for Boston. It was wonderful to be in the sky again. Flying is a lot harder than it was before I acquired all these possessions, thought Lewis. Best way to travel really is to travel light. On the other hand, I have to have these things. Got to have the trumpet if I'm going to win Serena for my wife. I've got to carry this money bag to hold the money to pay my father's debt. I've got to have the slate and pencil so I can communicate with people. And I ought to wear the medal because I really did save a life. And if I didn't wear it, people might think I was ungrateful. On he flew towards Boston, which is the capital of Massachusetts, which is famous for its baked beans, the codfish, its tea parties, the Cabots, its Lowells, its Salton stalls, its gay marriage, and its swan boats. One of the first states to acknowledge gay marriage was Massachusetts. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for now.